Good afternoon. I'm Andrea Heslin Smiley, and I am the CEO of VMS Biomarketing. I'm going to give you a brief overview of VMS and then jump into the presentations. First of all, VMS has been a leading provider of nurse educator solutions. We have 800 nurses across the country. We work across 25 different therapeutic areas, and we deliver both patient and HCP communications. So for patients, that's patient adherence programs, health coaching, and home health services. And with HCP communications, it is typically education, training, and in-services. We work across the full life cycle of a molecule from clinical trial to launch to drug maturity. And we deliver our programs in an omni-channel manner. So that would be digitally, virtually, telephonically, and in person, less in person lately. And lastly, we use a number of flexible staffing models, including full-time, part-time, and on-demand or per diem nurse educators. And we typically use some kind of combination of all three of those. And we do that to have the right customized program that best meets the needs of our biopharma partners. So now the presentation. Today, I'm here to talk about why biopharma is prioritizing or even reprioritizing patient adherence this year in COVID-19 pandemic more than ever, and how I believe that we as an industry can best meet the needs of patients as well as providers to drive improved adherence. My hope is that at the end of this discussion, this presentation, you will recognize, as I believe that we will in this time, that the actions that we take now to address patient adherence will shift the way that we think about the needs of patients moving forward. That is, that our response is important to meet the needs of patients and HCPs right now, but it also will have a lasting impact that when we are out of this pandemic, and we will be, that the investments that you are making for your brands today to address adherence will bear tremendous value for years to come. So the presentation, first of all, there has been just a tremendous amount of discussion about adherence, and that has come up even more so, even as an adherence company. Those discussions are forefront in our client conversations. It's in trade pub articles, virtual conferences, webinars. And while it's always been an important topic for the industry, the fact that it's the leading topic is what's so noteworthy, and something that personally I have not seen in 10 years being at VMS and 20 years prior working in pharma. In fact, in this past week, VMS announced that virtual patient and HCP engagement for our brand partners has more than doubled. This is all because of the growing focus of our clients to address patient adherence and their desire to deepen connections with their patients and the HCPs that they serve. It's not just happening at VMS, however. This is happening across the industry. And I believe there are two driving forces that are responsible for why patient adherence is such a top priority this year. The first reason is self-evident, that the risk of non-adherence is at an all-time high. And this is because of a number of factors, but foremost is that people are fearful, they're uncertain, and they're anxious in these times. And that is a key contributor to non-adherence. There's also the abundance of information, misinformation, information that's often conflicting just because of the timeliness of it. And lastly, access to HCPs has significantly declined in the past month, and it's expected to only continue that way for some time. All of these three are major contributors to patient non-adherence. Now, there is also a second market force that has made patient adherence a top priority, and that is about how improving patient adherence can help offset the financial and business impact resulting from the decline in new patient starts for biopharma. So MBRX has declined. You know this probably better than anyone and feel it every day. And this decline is due to a number of factors, but of course, first of all is reduced HCP access, which also is reduced patient visits. Secondly, of course, the decrease in rep field activities has a tremendous impact, and the delayed launches as companies are assessing the best time for go-to-market activities. All of these characteristics have led biopharma companies to recognize the increasing importance of patient connections with the goal of then driving deeper adherence. And we see that play out not just in sort of anecdotal comments, but in the data. This assessment has been reinforced in all sorts of quantitative analysis over the last several weeks. And I'm sure that you are very familiar with this, but what I think is important to recognize is that over 80% of physicians are concerned about their patients, about the fear and anxiety that they're dealing with. The significance of the decline in the promotional detailing, and this is data that's about 2 weeks delayed, so that's only further been increasing in that decline. And obviously we've got the decline in overall visits, and interestingly as well is it's not just in the primary care visits that may not be as critical to be happening, but it is in areas like in oncology where also diagnosis and treatments are trending down. What we like to do to augment this quantitative data is we want to look deeply at understanding what are the underlying factors that are driving this. And we do that by leveraging our clinical nurse educators and our broader teams to collect, analyze, and report real-time actionable patient insights and qualitative insights on a weekly basis. So if we look at some of our most recent insights, we believe that this is important to be doing, especially right now, with how quickly the environment is changing each day, and thus how difficult it is to get a pulse on what's going on in the market, particularly when there's less field activity. This is a very disciplined process for us, and we call this our insight incubator. Here I have, a number of the insights, and without going through all of them, a couple of important notes are the level of gratitude for the outreach from the nurse educators that we hear, but that we've heard increasingly so, the number of questions about how current medications will or will not impact susceptibility to coronavirus, and interestingly, this increased willingness to use video conferencing, unlike ever before. And clearly this is an impact of social distancing, as people of all ages now have been forced to become proficient on this medium. When you look at the quant, you look at the qual data, it's clear that now more than ever, patients are looking for and needing emotional support. And given that, it is on us as an industry to address this need and provide this reinforcement, this reliable information to restore patient confidence that they need to be adherent to their medications and to best manage their health, both mental and physical. Additionally, as pharma is looking to find ways to engage with HCPs because of the disconnection from the lack of field activity, it's these types of patient engagements that HCPs are most receptive and wanting to hear. So another reason why they are so important. The upshot is that right now it is essential and I believe invaluable to foster and deepen real patient connections, real human-to-human patient connections. And the great news is there are partners that can help you in doing this. To truly build deep patient connections, I believe there are important criteria that you will want to be looking at as you're assessing adherence solution providers. And so I have 6 outlined here. I'm going to go into Just a little bit of depth on each one, starting with optimizing virtual. So doing virtual engagement the right way is something you may not think about, but not all virtual networks are set up the same. It's important to understand if your solutions provider has a decentralized versus co-located contact center. So decentralized, such as a setup where the nurse educators can work from their home, and there has already been processes put in place, technology, compliance, and safety measures, standard process to be followed that are in place in a decentralized infrastructure. Many folks work within a centralized or work all within one common facility, and this is particularly important to be thinking about given the need for social distancing. And so it's difficult to create this decentralized infrastructure overnight, and there are aspects that can be missed, and those can be important given the compliance measures and standards that should be in place. Of course, there's also the scalability to meet client needs, turnkey integration into existing systems, and quick setup and launch to get to market quickly. The second area is really about who delivers the communication. And this is important not only because these individuals are representative of your brand and they're reaching out to HCPs and patients on your behalf, but also their ability to truly engage patients and connect with HCPs is highly dependent on their background, their training, and their experiences. And what we found is that clinicians are most effective in driving impact because they are trusted by everyone, and thus for 18 years have been rated the most trusted professional in the country by the Gallup poll. So both nurses and HCPs trust, patients and HCPs trust nurses. This is specific to COVID-19. Nurses have a particular talent. They are able and adept at helping patients in a crisis acclimate to changing environments. They're able to help people process large amounts of information and make it digestible and understandable, and address the full person, not just the physical needs, but including the psychosocial needs. Lastly, because of the trust that they engender, nurses are able to probe deeply to drive lasting behavior change, but also to identify meaningful and actionable insights to get to the root of a problem. They're able to uncover an issue or a topic and have patients and even HCPs really think deeply about why they may feel a certain way, and they can do it in a way that very few I've ever seen. This is the most receptive time for patients to accept an outreach, in part because they need information, but also because they are home and they have more time. All service providers will have inbound capabilities, and that's just responding to calls or messages, but what's often missing is proactive or outbound outreach. The fact is, most often patients and HCPs are less likely to proactively reach out for support. And even those that may be aware of support just are not going to take the time to make the call or to fill out a form. So it's on your partner to have outbound or proactive capabilities where they can engage HCPs and patients that are needing the support, particularly now because they're so much more open to receiving it. Whether it's proactive or reactive, each engagement needs to be personalized to the patient or the HCP in order to deliver the highest levels of impact. Providers need to be using behavior change models in combination with proven risk assessment tools, predictive modeling techniques, all being able to assess a patient's readiness to change, their likelihood for risk and adherence. And this sets them up to be able to have the right kind of progress in their therapy, setting goals and being able to advance in the right behavior changes. It's this evidence-based approach that leads to meaningful interactions that improve patient health as well as outcomes. With the right virtual setup and clinicians delivering communications, proactive outreach capabilities, and personalization, that full suite, a partner is best positioned to deliver a lasting impact on patient adherence. To validate this, you must look at their third-party research studies from companies like Crossix, IQVIA, Symphony Health, doesn't matter who, but it should be third-party data that is demonstrating the impact. Here are just a couple examples that we have from VMS programs, but this is something that you should expect to see from all your providers that have a commitment to delivering results for their clients. And then lastly, you want to work with partners that have data systems and processes in place to take in various inputs of information, analyze that information in real time, and provide you with actionable insights that can guide ongoing program optimization and brand decisions. Sophisticated providers can even work with you on capturing real-world data and patient-reported outcomes, as well as value-based contracting reporting requirements. Most of all, with limited feedback coming from the front lines right now, this capability to capture and provide real-time insights is incredibly important. The bottom line is we cannot underestimate the amount of support people need right now. And pharma is in this unique, enviable position to be able to provide the support in a meaningful and powerful way. And there are definitely positive rewards that will come to pharma, to you all, for doing so, and included in those rewards will be improved financial results from adherence improvements. And you can also make the case that in providing patient support and building these deep connections in a more significant way will further augment this positive momentum we are seeing happening to pharma's image. And while these are important factors in considering doing more with patient support and reaching out and building deep patient relationships, I don't think that those are the most important reasons to invest. I believe it should be done because it is fundamentally our responsibility to step up and make a difference when we can. And right now, there is a need, and you can. So I hope that you do. Thank you for your time, for inviting me into your living room. And I hope this was helpful. If you want to discuss anything further or have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. We are always willing to talk about ways VMS can support your adherence efforts. Thanks so much.